Hello everyone, welcome to Infallible Handmaids. This is our second video of our beginner series playlist about wire wrapped jewelry. In the first video, we have discussed everything about the basic steps required to start your wire wrapping journey. If you are a beginner or new to our channel, I highly recommend you to watch our first video of this series before proceeding to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss about the wire gauges. That's basically about which gauge of wire to be used for which purpose for our wire wrapped jewelry. Here I have the most used wire gauges, that is 16 gauge, and then we have 18 gauge, this is 20 gauge, and this is 24 gauge wire. The thickness of the wire is measured in gauges. Lesser the number of gauge, more is the thickness of the wire. So this is 16 and this is 18. So 16 gauge wire is thicker than 18 gauge wire. So both the 16 gauge wire and the 18 gauge wire is used for making the jewelry frames. For example, this is a jewelry frame. So yes, so this is made from 18 gauge wire, whereas this jewelry frame is made from 16 gauge wire. So let me tell you my preference. If my jewelry piece is going to have more bends and curves, then I'll prefer to use 18 gauge wire because the thickness of the wire is less when compared to the 16 gauge wire, so it is much easier to work with bends and curves with 18 gauge wire. Whereas if my jewelry piece is not having any major curves or bends, then I'll prefer using the 16 gauge wire. So in this I have used 16 gauge wire and in this I have used 18 gauge wire. So this is the 16 gauge wire. Here I just had 2 loops to be made, whereas this design doesn't have too much of bending when compared to this flower design. So the 16 gauge wire gives a solid look to your pieces, and also if you want to make lightweight jewelry, then you can go with the 18 gauge wire for your jewelry frames. These two are very classic designs in wire jewelry. So for this I have used 18 gauge wire because it has so much of bends and curves. So I prefer to work with 18 gauge wire than 16 gauge wire. If you are a beginner and if you find it difficult to work with 18 gauge wire for these designs, then you can very well choose 20 gauge wire, and it's strong enough to hold the shape and it looks beautiful too. This is a jewelry piece made from single wire, whereas this jewelry piece has so many attachments, so it has many parts. So this particular part is movable, and then we have this frame, and then this part is movable, this part is also movable, this is movable, and we have coils here. Okay, so for this this is a lightweight jewelry. For this framework we have used 18 gauge wire, and the movable parts like this and this is made from 20 gauge wire. For making earring hooks I use 20 gauge wire, and the coils are made from 24 gauge wire. The 20 gauge wire is much easier to bend and it also gives a sturdy look to your jewelry, whereas the 24 gauge wire here, it's really thin and you can make fine coils with 24 gauge wire. If you find it difficult to make coils with 24 gauge wire, then you need to practice with the 26 gauge wire first. This is a 26 gauge brass wire. If you're a beginner and if you want to try coils, you can try it with 26 gauge wire first, and then you can try with 24 gauge wire. Here these tiny coils are made from 24 gauge wire. for the frames we use 16 gauge and 18 gauge wire, and for small sturdy parts which needs to be moved like this, we use the 20 gauge wire. And for making small coils like this, here, can you see that? Yeah, if you want to make small coils like this, then we will use 24 gauge wire. If you are a beginner or new to our channel, I highly recommend you to subscribe to our channel so that you can get regular updates about our new videos. And also we have created a separate playlist for wire wrapped jewelries. You can check the playlist too. If you find this video useful, please give a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel Infallible Handmaids. If you have any queries or doubts regarding this video or any other video, please leave your doubts and queries in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye.